finally the finale of Alice in Zombieland. With me, your host, as always, Bryan Dressel. With me, as always, is Joel. I didn't think of a nickname for you, DeWitte.
Well, one, always is a lie. Two, I've actually skipped my podcast for 2 weeks now, so you should be honored that I'm here.
I mean, we're always honored that you're here, but now we're just a little bit more. And we have Matt, Zombie Dog Dykes.
Woohoo!
Matt's, whose official nickname now in life is closely creeping to be Zombie Dog, and I'm just so proud.
I prefer it, to be honest, to the last ones. I've changed the nickname on my Facebook to Zombie Dog and changed my actual Instagram username now. Zombie Dog was taken.
That's kind of sad, but
Go
they didn't
it.
know about you. I mean,
Exactly. So it's now matt.zombie.dog.
Well, eventually, once you get the internet cachet to have like a following big enough, you can strong-arm them to give up their username.
yeah.
That's true.
Hey, bitch, I'm Zombie Dog.
I'm the Zombie Dog. Get the fuck out.
I'm just so happy the name stuck. It's just,
Do you know what? I
just
actually
feels
like
right.
it as a nickname. I think it's actually quite a decent nickname.
It's since the day I said it, I'm like, that one kind of works.
Yeah.
I've come up with a lot of nicknames for a lot of people on this series, and that's the first one I feel pretty confident about.
I like
Definitely
zombies.
better.
I like dogs.
It's definitely better than when we did our old-timey insults during Venture Brothers
God.
that just turned out to be a whole bunch of vaguely racist insults that I had to stop doing real quick.
It's like we got like 3 episodes in, then the remaining ones went real racist real quick.
I'm like, ooh, these aren't working. Time to change gears. Ooh.
It's also a little tough to tell between satire and sincere.
Yeah.
On that kind of stuff.
Very true. There's a reason we pulled the ripcord on that one 3 weeks in.
Yeah, I think me and
but
Graham
go-
were probably sitting there going, is Bryan just about to get a white hood out or something? And like, we're just learning this about him.
That's just my slow indoctrination into QAnon. It's
Well,
not even
you
fun
know,
to joke about. It's still sad.
You can be a Luddite over there, and I'm going to enjoy my 5G with my Xbox. Praise Bill Gates.
Yeah, I'll praise Hill. Let's get started. So, this is the longest intro I think we've ever had for this show. We're done. We finished all of the Resident Evil movies a while back, and then we watched another movie just for funsies. And it's about time we wrap this thing up. I appreciate all of you out there who have been waiting patiently for this episode. We've had a lot of scheduling conflicts. Turns out when you have 4 people in 4 time zones, it's tough to get together. But I'm really glad we're able to do it today. Right? Except, poor Graham just couldn't make it because he's still on another job that's doing overnight. So I'm sure he's here in spirit.
Yeah,
Graham.
he's been mentioned. He's still in our thoughts.
Yeah.
Now, is he like a benevolent force, or is he like a specter?
I guess we'll see. If the episode crashes again, then I would say he's a benevolent, or he's more of a specter. But
Okay.
we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So let's get this party started with what I think would be the best place to start, which is if we look at the Resident Evil film franchise as a party, if you will. 6 movies of varying quality, a lot of fun, a lot of like, what the fuck were you thinking? It kind of stands to reason that like it's sad that parties end. And in my point of view, I don't think the party really did end. I think it just changed venues. And the best way to describe that would be their next film, which was Monster Hunter. It's a very, very, at least in the West, it's a very niche popular game, but in the East, over in Japan, it's one of the biggest games fucking ever. Yeah. It just never really grabbed on here with as big of an audience as it has over there. It's still popular, but it's not quite as popular.
The Resident Evil series is like that party that starts at 8 p.m. on Friday night. It's like great fun until like 12 or 1 in the morning. You got that buddy that keeps on edging you on, and it's like you get to 2 or 3 o'clock and you're just sort of slogging through it. And then you stayed up all night and went out for brunch.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. And then Monster Hunter is the party next Friday.
Yes. Everyone's recovered.
Yeah, refreshed. We put on a new pantsuit if you're wearing pantsuits, and you headed out to party. Am I the only one who wears pantsuits?
Post 1989, yes, I think you are.
Now, do
You know
you
what?
have shoulder pads?
I mean, I have shoulder pads in my t-shirts. Why wouldn't you? But we're just going to spend a few minutes here, just kind of chat about it, just kind of give you a good primer on why you should probably watch it if you enjoyed even one of the Resident Evil movies. And then we'll move into the actual finale of this thing. Joel, I believe you led the charge. I think you're the first one out of all of us to give this thing a watch before we even decided to watch it for this. What did you think when you watched it?
I love it. I really, really liked it. And I think watching the Resident Evil movies definitely primed the pump for me. I think in a vacuum, it kind of comes off as a very sort of generic action movie that has this sort of like color by numbers structure and type of jokes. But it molds perfectly into like the ethos of the Resident Evil stuff, in that Milla is the main character. The story is focused around her. A lot of the characters are just sort of throwaway kill fodder, and then there's maybe a sort of pivot to something a little grander or crazier at the end. So, like, as a Monster Hunter movie, comparing to the games, it's the structure and the type of story is a little different. I think that's something that, like, Alex Arona from Super GG Radio didn't like about it. But I was already preparing for that, just being a story set in a Monster Hunter type world. So it worked for me.
And you were familiar with the filmmaker, so you kind of knew how they were going to be, let's say, loose with the source material.
Right.
But I do have to say, like, I've only played a chunk of the Monster Hunter series. I've never finished one of the games. They're a big ask. Each one of them is a big ask. They're great. But there is something about the Monster Hunter games that I think this movie did capture rather well. I enjoyed the movie, too. I don't think I could say I loved it, but, I mean, I did buy it in 4K, and I will watch it many times. So maybe I did. It's just a fun movie. It's a tough movie to have a problem with. But what I was saying is the Monster Hunter game franchise it's built on the gameplay loop of you kill monsters, you use what you kill, you use the guts or whatever it is to go kill more monsters. You kill monsters to get bigger monsters, right? Essentially, that's kind of the general gameplay loop. This movie still kind of captured that. Not perfectly, but it still had that whole, like, well, we need to go kill that big sand demon thing, but how are we going to do it? Oh, we need to get the venom from these spiders to go kill it. So it still kind of got that idea. And I really appreciate that they took the time to even do that. I mean, that's basically only paying lip service, but it still worked, and it was still nice to see it.
Right, yeah, I think some of the complaints I heard were things like not enough of that, so some people wanted to see more progression of that from what I read. I think if you read the internet too much, and that's always a danger, a lot of people who are into Monster Hunter series, their main critique is about how it's kind of like colonialism and, conquering this land that was uninhabited and subjugating monsters and using them as fodder, stuff like that. And I... point taken, but also maybe taking a game that doesn't really focus on that a little too seriously. So and well, I mean, that's not really the focus. Like the focus is you are a small band of people trying to find a new world or trying to survive in the wild. And when you're doing that and you're working on more primitive human nature, like, you're not thinking about that stuff. You're thinking about surviving. And that's the part of that game that this movie really captures well, because they use the sort of trope of like, oh, we're a military outfit, trying to. They're in the desert or something, and then they get like time warped or something into the Monster Hunter world, and that's where the sort of crazy. Yes, perfect. Thank you so much.
No
but that's where it starts veering into like almost horror suspense because of those spider things. Like right off the gate, they move with those. The big, I think it's called Rathalos monster,
and fuck it, everyone dies.
Yes, but like.
I mean, like, it's kind of like Aliens a little bit, in the, you got all these Marines. I don't think they were actually Marines in that film, but like, in Aliens, it's the Marines, and they just all get picked off as soon as they encounter the aliens. Like, the vast majority of them get decimated.
Yeah,
and
but
it had
you
that
still
sort
have, like,
of feel to it.
But you still have some side characters that hang around for the majority of Aliens. I just watched this movie like 3 days ago, ironically enough. But you still have people who hang around the majority. Monster Hunter, nuh-uh. They're all dead within the first 10 minutes, and then it's just Milla and, I'm blanking on his name. Tony Jaa? Yeah, and it's just the two of them. Like, if this was Aliens, it would just be Ripley and Newt the whole movie.
Yeah, that's true. What I did like about this film is like I had no idea it was actually a video game until the end credits came up and it said based on the Capcom video game. I was like, oh, okay, it's a video game as well. But what I really enjoyed about this movie the most, I think, was the way that they learned to communicate with each other. Because I find that really fascinating, just as a thing. Like, you can't understand each other's language, so how do you communicate with someone? One of my favorite episodes of Star Trek Next Generation is an episode called Darmok, and it is essentially, Picard and this alien trying to figure out how to communicate with each other. And it's a really well written episode, and there was glimpses of that. You point at the thing, you say what it's called, and you try to communicate. And I found that really interesting, that like their relationship they build up when they can't really understand each other, and they still don't really fully understand each other.
What we learned is that chocolate is the universal language. Right?
Chocolate is this world's math.
Yeah.
But
which it always is. It's always like that. It's always like some sort of sugary thing. Like there's an episode of Stargate SG-1 where Daniel Jackson is communicating with a primitive Unas, which none of that makes any sense to anyone. But one of the things he does, he gives them a chocolate bar, and then the Unas like, "Oh, this is nice." Yeah, it's just like
it's Big Hershey at it again.
Yeah, keep chocolate on you at all times, and you'll be fine.
But before we move too far past it, I just want to mention, these are two actors that I don't think ever get enough credit for how quality of actor they are. I think both of them always kind of get this reputation of being action stars first and actors second. And when you watch this movie, these are two people who are not known for their acting, having to carry entire scenes together where they can't communicate. And I think they both do a really good job. I think Millet, I think we learned throughout the entirety of throughout Resident Evil, is a vastly underestimated actor. I think that when she needs to pull in the strong notes, she's there every time. And then I felt the same way in this movie. Their chemistry was great. It crackled on the screen. They were fun together. When they didn't understand each other, it worked. So much of this movie wouldn't work if it wasn't for those two people. And I think they both just knocked it out of the park.
Anytime that they have a movie or a scene where they leverage the absence of vocals and then they just have to emote to convey feelings and thoughts and things. That's part of why I think for me that for Pixar movies, WALL-E's my favorite. It's cute and adorable, but that first third of the movie is the best part, and the reason why it's the best part is because they focus on physical ways to verbalize what's happening.
It's pure cinema. It's the idea of cinema. Cinema's a visual storytelling device, and that, like what you're saying with WALL-E, that opening sequence is just visual storytelling, and it's just really well done. And it's, I love stuff like that when you can tell a story without any dialogue. I think that's where you boil down to what cinema is as a concept. It's visual storytelling.
And that's the majority of the first half of this movie. Before Ron Perlman shows up, that's the majority of what this is. All of the dialogue
I'd
that
say
we
it's
get.
2/3. I thought it was right near the end, and then Ron Perlman shows up, and I was like, oh, there's still about half an hour to go on this then.
But before that, all the dialogue you get is mostly just frustration that they can't understand each other. That's not how the plot is being told of the story. It's all through nonverbal communication, which I think is just fucking cool. I mean, and not something I would have expected from this film team.
Yeah. I mean, what I love, one of my favourite moments in the film is the bit with the Velcro. The fascination of, I've ripped it off. I can stick it back on, and I can rip it back. This is incredible. How does this work? And it's you think about how simple, it's just such a simple thing that we take for granted every day, but you introduce that to a culture that has no idea of what that is like magic to them.
Yeah, it's the Prometheus discovering fire thing. It's such a revolutionary change that their gears are turning in their head about how big of a game changer it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get some final thoughts on this one, then we'll move into saying goodbye to the Resident Evil franchise. My final thoughts on this movie, if you haven't seen it, and I don't think we spoiled it. I think we did a pretty good job not spoiling it. If you've enjoyed any of the Resident Evil movies, I think it's a must watch. Fuck it. If you own the movies, it's a must buy. Just pick it up. You're going to enjoy it. And I would say it's definitely better than the worst of Resident Evil movies. And I would say it hangs up there with the best of the Resident Evil movies.
If we were putting this in the rank, it would be my top third, I'd say.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's really well made as well. It reminds me of how we were saying about how 3 felt like it was the best shot Resident Evil film. The one with the
right.
It felt like that. It was the cinematography, the landscape. It was also. It felt very different. It was.
I personally, I would put it at the top of the list, and it's because it's like they took the lessons from the Resident Evil series and made the closest thing to like a whole cohesive movie. I mean, they did a little silly pants at the end with the fight scenes and how it's handled, but that is in tune and in touch with the whole ethos of how they make these movies anyway. So if you are well versed in the Resident Evil stuff, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And it's funny you say they get silly pants, but it's like it feels earned. Like it's ridiculous, but it's like I could see it going this way though.
Right.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel silly to the point where it's like you go, well, that doesn't make any sense. It makes sense in the world that they are in because, I think I know what you're referring to, and I feel like if people haven't seen that, we want to keep that bit of a secret because when that specific thing happened or came on screen, should we say, I was just like, what the fuck is this now? It was so out of nowhere, but it was so brilliant. And at no point did I go, this is ludicrous. It was just like, what the hell? But it was like, I bought into it completely.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we're all kind of on the same page. I feel like a lot of Resident Evil fans probably gave this one a pass because it wasn't Resident Evil. And it's like, nope, this is still for you. This is still going for the same audience. And you should check it out.
Yeah.
So it's really a shame it came out in a pandemic because I think it would have done much better in theaters than I think even the studio was expecting. Because this one would have had
PG-13 as well, so it would have had a bit more of a wider audience.
And I think it would have had a good word of mouth. Like I think it would have had a good word of mouth. Not with the Monster Hunter, like the diehard fans, they're still gonna have their problems with it, which is okay. I get it. But I think with the general movie audiences, I think people would have come around to it. Like, oh, it's surprisingly fun.
But the problem is that video game nerds, their problem is that they want the same story told to them in a movie format. And it's just not, it's apples and oranges. It'll never work that way. I mean, book adaptations have this problem too, but they at least have a streamlined story where it's like, what is Monster Hunter's story? Kill shit, harvest them for their innards, to build better weapons, to kill more shit. Like that's all it is.
And then the people who are like saying how they want The Last of Us turned into a film as well, which is very story driven. It's like a 20-odd hour storyline. You can't condense that down into a 2-hour film.
They totally can. How many hours of The Last of Us do you spend putting boards across buildings? There's so much to cut out of that. They can make a show out of that one.
but even then, like the Last of Us is just it's a summary of like borrowed story elements to other post-apocalyptic movies. It's told very well. It works well in the format of the game, but it's not. It's treading the same water that a lot of movies already have done.
Here, we need to move on, guys. We need to get to the actual episode.
Sorry, we're going on like way too much there.
Yep.
That's my fault.
No, it's all good. All right, let's get started on the farewell party of Resident Evil. So the way that we're going to do this episode is kind of how we've done Frisky Dingo and Venture Brothers. If you listen to either one of those finales, we like to basically just kind of summarize what we used to do at the end of the episodes, but compare it to the whole series. So for the end of the episodes with Resident Evil, we did best Alice moment and best kill. So we're going to do our top 5 Alice moments and kills throughout the franchise, and then we're going to rank the franchise 1 through 6, however you want to do it. Let's start with best kills. Let's go. I like going 5 to 1, if that's okay with you guys. Start with your least of the top 5, and then end with number 1. Joel, why don't you get this party started?
So this one is more because I found it really funny, but the part in, I think it was the second movie, where after Nemesis gets sort of hinged from being stabbed in the gut, he just pulls out a damn rocket launcher and starts shooting it. It was one of those moments that these movies sometimes veer into the silly, as we talked about, but for me it works just because it cuts into the self-serious nature of it, and that was one moment where it just caught me off guard and I found myself giggling.
That's a great one.
Yeah, that's so good. I'm just remembering it now. It's like where it's like it's running the police station, isn't it? And it comes up saying it's stars.
Stars. Joel, what's your number 4?
So my number 4 would probably be At the end of the first movie, I forget the bad guy's name, but he's trying to escape. He's got the antivirus, and then the litter comes out and just mauls him. Just like it's one of those nice like comeuppance kind of scenes. You know, it's a real feel good moment. And then my number 3 would probably be Wester's death at the end of the series, and it's not so much that it's an interesting death because he just gets slammed by a door, but it's the old Alice kind of being like smug about him being fired.
Yeah.
That causing it.
It's the end of RoboCop, isn't it? It's that you're fired. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you guys are probably seeing a theme here. Like, I'm not necessarily choosing off of cool for the most part. 2 would be the laser hallway in 1, where everybody just slices and dice. That one is just like, it's too striking and iconic of a moment, and the fact that they keep on going back to it just tells you how much they knew it was a great scene, you know. And then number 1 would be Flame Waterfall. Just because I'm not correcting that. Flame Waterfall.
I just love that name.
I'll say the same thing I did last time. Okay.
And I'll say the same thing I think I said last time. Go Firefall.
I mean, I still like Flame Waterfall.
Yeah, so do I. But
here, I can go second here. So my number 5, I think it's the same moment that Joel's was, but it's slightly different, I guess. It's in part 2, and it's when fucking Nemesis just shows up and wipes out all of the STARS agents. Like, these are supposed to be the badass, like, most badass guys in the game, and he just shows up and just fucking mops the floor with them and just moves on.
It made me laugh so much as well, because I vaguely remember it said, you see, like, his little weird Terminator vision thing, and it says, like, they're elite forces or something like that. Not one of them is aiming their weapons. They're all shooting from the hip, and, like, not paying, and it's just like,
they don't even need
elite.
to aim. They're just that elite.
And then it's like, the one guy, I forget his name, but the black guy, who's like the one who get arrested by him, he's the only one that survives that as well. They'll go the most untrained person, and he gets away.
Well, because that's how good Nemesis was. He was told to kill the STARS agent. He wasn't a STARS agent. There you go. All right, so my number 4 is going to be in part 3. It's when, I can't remember the name of the fucking scientist, but the guy who played Ser Jorah in Game of Thrones, when he kills his 2 assistant scientists.
Ian Glenn.
When
I've literally just looked it up.
Ian Glenn, thank you, that actor. Yes. When he kills the 2 scientists, and just that smug look on his face as they're getting destroyed by the zombies is like, yep, you weren't fast enough. My bad. I love it. I loved how just fucking evil he is.
It's
my number 3.
So like that moment was like, I swear to God, it's like it's a split second away from him just shrugging, just going wop wop.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just like, all right, well, I can get 2 new goons later. Number 3 is going to be the quarter shotgun to the Axeman. Just the way the whole head explodes and the quarters going around everywhere. Just the ting, 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 ting.
Yeah.
It's really fucking cool shot. Like, that's all I'm looking for there is like, that was fucking cool.
Yeah.
Number 4, or number 2, I agree with Joel. It's the laser hallway. Laser hallway is fucking great. Especially from part 1. It's just such an iconic thing. If you think of the Resident Evil franchise, you're going to think of the laser hallway. There's a reason it keeps coming back, just like Joel said. So everything Joel said, my number 2. My number 1 is it's the death of, now I'm blanking on his name. Is it Carlos?
Carlos.
Yeah, at the end of 3, when he's smoking the cigarette. I know or smoking the joint. I know we're kind of like, wow, this franchise is really into smoking. But either way, that was an awesome shot. It was, I love all the jazz hand zombies on top of the window. Like, it's all just so, like, just to look cool and just give them a good farewell. Smoke them if you got them before everything explodes. It's the best kill of the franchise. It's just so fucking, it's style over substance to a T, and it's done so well.
Yeah. I can't believe I didn't think of that when I was thinking of my list. That's so good.
So, Matt, top 5.
So my number 5 is from the second one, and it's just the bit where the guy LJ, I have to look his name up again, where he runs over the zombie and just goes GTA motherfucker, because it cracks me up so much when he first said that, because it just comes out of nowhere as well. I just fucking love that moment. Number 4 is again the laser laser hall thing. I specifically put waffling Captain Exposition. But that whole laser corridor sequence is amazing. Like, the guy jumps and the laser goes, "Ah, fuck you," and cuts him in half. It's just, it's so good. Number 3.
I also love that even if that guy jumped, he still lost his legs. Like, he didn't jump high enough. He was still fucked.
At the very least, he lost his feet.
Yeah.
My number 3 is the first time that Alice uses the money shotguns in Afterlife. And it's just like, it goes off, you see like the devastation, and then that one bloody quarter just sticks into the wall, and it's like, it's just it's a very cool shot. Like the guy looking and going, and you might as well do a Neo, whoa, at that point. Number 2 is Apocalypse, the second one again, the zombie dog explosion in the kitchen. It's just the whole setup of like, oh God, why am I blanking on her name now? Jill Valentine. She's like, she throws the lit matches, and it blows out. And then Alice comes around the corner and is like, the lit cigarette, and she goes, "Yeah, this is how you do it, bitch." Flicks it in, and then like the fire blanket around the girl to protect her from, the explosion. It's just such a cool scene.
I want to rewatch these movies again. That's so nuts.
Does it count as a kill when the little girl never showed back up in the movies?
I mean, sure, why not?
That can be.
It's a kind of death.
That can be like a notable mention.
Yeah. There you go.
Number 1 of my top 5 kills is it's exactly the same as Bryan. It's Carlos blowing up the tanker in Extinction. The jazz hand zombies, the smile on his face when he's just like. That camera pull up, I was half expecting him to just like give like 2 middle fingers to the zombies as it blows up as well. It's just such a fucking good moment.
It's just awesome.
It's the character is like as well. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna die, but fuck it, I'm going out and I'm taking all these assholes with me. It's just such a cool moment of a character just accepting their fate, but being okay with it.
Yeah. It's just. 3 is a way better movie than anyone gives it fucking credit.
Yeah. It really is. It's
sorry,
like Mad
Graham.
Max
I know you
with
can't be
zombies.
here today to speak about how much you hate it.
No. Graham spoke to me recently. He said that he recants everything. He thinks that 3 is the best in the franchise. In fact, he thinks it's one of his top 5 favourite films of all time. And no one will ever correct that, so that is now canon.
Yeah,
if you're going to lie about it, you need to make it sound realistic at least.
I mean, I guess now we'll find out if Graham listens to the episodes he's not on.
You're just there seething, just shaking, like, you bastard.
All right, let's do top 5 Alice moments. Let's go in the same order. Joel, kick it off.
All right, so I think my 5th would be... so in the final chapter, near the beginning, there's that whole chase scene where she's basically like jumping from vehicle to vehicle, trying to run off from that flying zombie monster thing, and it's just a really good chase scene, and it's suspenseful, it's action packed, and it worked well as an introduction to what was going on in that movie.
Yep.
Number 4 would probably be fighting off those gangs of like marauders in Extinction, where she's sent down to like the Hell Dog Well, and then it's like that scene in Return of the Jedi where Luke is being tossed in Jabba's cage and having to fight off the monster.
The Rancor, yeah.
Yes. Thank you for the actual terminology. I'm not good at that.
I'm so offended you didn't remember the name Rancor. Just so we have it on record, I'm not a fan that you did not remember the name Rancor. But
if you gave me trivia about Lord of the Rings with that minutia, then I would be golden.
It's a Rancor. This is common knowledge. It's like sky is blue. That's a Rancor.
And you done.
Anyway,
continue.
Number 3 would probably be the motorcycle scene in Apocalypse, the introduction of Alice popping up and being a superhuman badass there, which set the whole tone for the movie for that. Number 2 would probably be in the fight with Dr. Isaacs in the laser room, where she sacrifices her finger to kill him off. It's just a good one. It's a really badass moment that just accentuates like her willingness to win at all costs at that point. And it probably helps that she has the whole like impetus that she knows she's going to die at the end, presumably. So she just is willing to sacrifice that much. Number 1 is the moment where she's rappelling down the wall, shooting people, and doing the air running.
Oh my God. It's such a good moment.
It is. It really is.
You got to get that momentum up when you're using the force of gravity, though. Must make gravity work faster.
Oh my God, Joel, our list is eerily similar. But here we go. So my number 5, it's the entire opening of what is it, 4? Yeah, it's the entire opening of 4. The clone army fight. It's kind of cheating because there's so many Alices that to use as an Alice moment kind of is a little bit of a cheat because it's a full-blown army.
Doesn't that make it the most Alice moment, though?
That was where I was going, but it's also kind of the most Alice possible. And it's just such a ridiculous thing, and it's just, it totally feels like oh shit, how do we end the last one? How many Alices? All right, well, we got to put something in there. We'll just kill them off in one go. It's just like it's super casual, but also insane. So that'd be my number 5. Number 4, I kind of go back and forth on this one. I think it's going to be the first time she actually like triggers like I'm a badass, and when she fights the initial zombie dogs in part 1, when she goes wandering off on her own for some fucking reason. We never got to the bottom of that. But then all the zombie dogs attack, and she's like jumping all over the place. She's climbing the wall. She's kicking their faces, and she lands, and she's like, wait, who the fuck am I? Like, it's just a really cool moment. And it was like the first moment I remember when I was watching the movies where I'm like, nah, I'm into these. These might not be the games, but I'm here for it. My number 3, 3 is kind of tough because it's like, it's definitely from the movie part 3. It's definitely from Extinction, but there's so many good moments in Extinction, it's kind of hard to pick one.
Yeah.
But I think I'm gonna go with the her god moment of like, all right, so I'm gonna land here, you use that fire flamethrower thing, and I'm gonna control the flame with my mind and fry all these birds. And it's fucking nuts, and it's crazy. If you catch my theme, I'm like the crazy stuff.
She found the god cheat code at that point.
Right? Yeah. My number 2 is Alice running down the wall because it's just fucking awesome. It's so stupid, but it's just like it's the perfect amount of stupid while I'm still okay with it.
Yeah.
Everything Joel just said, or if you go back to our episode on number 2, I think it was even our preview on Instagram that week. Like, it's just so goddamn funny. And then my number 1 is the thing I always bring up when I talk about the Resident Evil franchise because it's fucking awesome, and it's Motorcycle Through the Stained Glass Window. It's just the best. It looks cool. She has to go kill a bunch of lickers afterwards. She's done with everything, and she's like, was that hard for you guys? Did you not see how easy I just made that? Like, it's just badass all around, and it's just the perfect like Alice moment, at least for the first 3 films, for me. Just amazing.
That leaves me then, I'm guessing.
That leaves you.
So my number 5 is something a little less cool and just more like where Mila's showing off her acting chops a little bit, and it's final chapter where she finds out she's a clone. I just think that's such a really well acted sequence. Yeah, it lasts like 3 seconds. She has an existentialist crisis for about 3 seconds, but in those 3 seconds, it's just incredibly well acted. I think it's just a really brilliant sequence. And I always like realization sequences in films when they're done very well, and they do it pretty well in that one.
Yeah, I agree with
it's
that.
a good moment. It's a kind of a shame that we're all like everyone in the audience is like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, at that point, it's like we figured you were going to be some sort of clone from somewhere at some point.
Yeah, we figured that out a while ago. But thanks for letting the character know too.
Number 4 is from the second one, and it's where you first find out she's got proper like mind powers, and where she melts the guy's brain, and it's just the way I think she'll just look at the camera or something, and then the guy in the security office room just starts, his brain just starts melting, and he's just screaming. I just think it's such a cool
There's
moment.
a power that never comes back.
Yeah, you use all of once.
Yep.
But I just think it's such really cool. She just looks at the camera, and it's just like, the guy who's watching her from the camera just dies. I think it's just very, very cool. Number 3 is from Retribution, and it's the padlock on chain hallway fight. I just think that is so well done. It's just such a cool sequence.
it's such a well choreographed sequence. It's really, really well done.
Yeah.
I really wish I didn't have so many problems with that movie. Like, even her costume annoys me in that movie. So, like, even though the really good moments happen, it just never comes to the top of my head because there's so many things about that movie I don't like.
That's the thing.
Spoilers coming up.
It just, for me as well, it's just such a cool sequence. And it's very well shot, and it is like I said, it's very well choreographed. But it's like a dance as well. It's very elegant. You know, there's this horrific violence is going on, but it's also quite beautiful, and like the way there's like the movement, the way it's shot and everything. You know, take the violence out and you've got a very complex dance going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's great. Number 2 is from Extinction, and I was sort of back and forth on this as well between this and the God moment with the birds. But I settled on the Vegas knife fight. Just the way she pulls out those 2 knives and it's basically like, I got this, and just fucking kills so many of those the zombies. It's so well done, and it just looks cool. And then number 1 again, freaking we're matching on our number 1s on these, Brian. It's the motorbike through the church. That entire sequence is just fucking mental. It's just excellent. Like, she rides that weird ramp that goes up to the window of the church. For some bizarre reason, they left a ramp there. She's just
outside hammering away. She's like, "Hang on, it's got to be cool. Just survive a few more minutes."
She goes through the window. She shoots guns at the bike, which cause the bike to explode. She kills all the lickers that are in there. Like, the final one, she just stands right over the top of it and pointing the shotgun at its head and just goes, poof, just blows its head apart. And then the turn, just like, were you guys struggling with that? Look like, how badass I am. I just did it on my own. There's 3 of them.
That's an action sequence that rivals fucking Schwarzenegger, Stallone, like, best of the best. Like, for me, that is just right up there with the best action sequences I've seen.
Yeah,
it's
I
awesome.
agree with that.
Oh boy, the hard part is here. You got to rank the franchise. How hard could this be? It's actually surprisingly difficult. I'm really interested to see where you guys go, because if you were a fan of our show and you listened to all of it, you heard my theory that these are 2 trilogies snapped together, and my rankings are very much slave to that. But I like the order we got going. It's feeling right. Joel, do you want to go first again?
Yeah, sure. I agree. It is kind of like a Rorschach test for what you're looking for in these movies. For me, number 1 is Resident Evil Extinction. I just think the first movie did so much right, and also tread that line between completely outrageous and then being this interesting survival story. I think it's one of the more complete movies out of the whole series. Number 2 is Resident Evil Apocalypse. And so that is one where, like, I knew not to take it too seriously, and it has a lot of silly moments, but as we've discussed, it's Alice at her most badass, and it's just fun. And the Nemesis being included, like, they took it in a way where it doesn't match up with the games, how Nemesis is portrayed, at least as a scary force, but it is a lot of fun overall. 3 for me is Resident Evil Final Chapter, and I think part of it is that I'm a sucker for conclusions to large arc stories, and it tries so hard to close as many loops as possible. Yes, it doesn't succeed in representing everybody, but for the people they give time to, it feels very satisfactory. Number 4 will be the first Resident Evil, which is, like, I really liked the first one starting out, but out of all of these, that one feels the most like a timestamp of when it came, and it has all the trappings of the types of movies in the early 2000s that is just at the point where it's feeling a little too dated for me. Number 5 would be Resident Evil Afterlife. I think there were some interesting ideas there, but it was sort of a middling movie to me. And then number 6 is Resident Evil Retribution, because we could have missed most of it and not missed too much about the story.
You're very right. All those characters made such an impact. Everybody's favorite character, Jill, like, she came back in the next one, right?
What's the thing, like what you were saying then? Like, you could literally take out Retribution from the series, fiddle a little bit with the opening of Final Chapter, and you've not lost anything at all.
Nope. But oh well.
Yeah.
Still has fun moments. I didn't even mention like the Jill versus Alice fight is actually pretty decent. I mean, it gets a little ridiculous with the X-ray punches, but it is a pretty decent fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's some decent fight sequences in it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Throughout, there's decent fight sequences, but I really like the one at the end. Like, it's a good brawl.
It is.
With the submarine.
All right, so sure. I mean, why not? The movie's ridiculous. They're all ridiculous. All right, so I'll go the same order as Joel. I'll go best to worst. So my number 1 is number 2. I love Apocalypse. I think Apocalypse to me just kind of cashed in on what I wanted from a Resident Evil movie, which was like a little bit more referential to the games while not being slave to the games, like still doing its own story, but it still felt a little bit more in that game world while not going too far in the game world like, say, Retribution does. It was a great balance of extreme campiness, silliness, ridiculousness, while being like a hard-hitting zombie film. I love Apocalypse. It has the best ridiculousness, the best seriousness, some of the best action. Great movie all around. And if I could have had a tie for first place, it would have been tied with my number 2, which is Extinction. Everything Joel said about Extinction is spot on. It's the most complete film, easily the best shot film. The pacing in that movie is the best out of the entire franchise. It's just that its ridiculous notes didn't get quite as high as Apocalypse's. So that's the only reason why I give the slight edge to Apocalypse. But otherwise, they're essentially tied in my head. Number 3 will be the first one, Resident Evil OG. It's just a great little kind of grindhousey zombie film. It doesn't really fit in with the rest of the franchise as well as I thought it did before this show, before we kind of went back and looked at all of them. I feel like 2 through 6 fit together better than 1 really at all. But that's fine. It's growing pains. It's like that was the first, so it's kind of starting to set the tone, and they figured out what worked and didn't work. But all in all, it's a pretty solid zombie film. Like, it's not a great video game movie, but it's still a pretty decent movie. Like, the gun action's great. The ridiculousness is great. It has legit horror points. It's not a bad movie.
It's number 1 in Slipknot representation, though. So
oh my god, man! Let's bump this thing up a few rungs. Maybe it's the best one. My number 5 is part 6, final chapter. It's kind of, again, like what Joel said. I like that they wrap it up. I don't think they did a bad job wrapping it up, and especially since I think the back half films are the weaker out of the 6. I think it did a really good job. I think it knew what it had to do, and it wasn't afraid to, like, no, we're just going to end it. And they do have the stupid coda at the end of, like, well, now that it's spreading, everything will be fine, except that it isn't, and there's still a war out here. And it's like, okay, we don't care. It's over. But otherwise, yeah, I think 5 works. There's some dumb parts to it. I think it kind of overstays its welcome a minute, which is hard to do for an 88-minute movie, but it's decent. It's good enough that I can enjoy watching it. Especially compared to the first time I saw it, when I did not like it at all. My number 5 would be Afterlife, just because it's so simplistic. Like, it's almost a little too simplistic. It's just Alice goes to a jail, Alice leaves the jail. And it's like, what did we gain here? Not a lot. You get a good Wesker fight at the end. You get some characters that are essentially disposable. It had some good moments. I like the 3D stuff, but the reason why it's not my last place was because it did have the quarter shotgun. And that was fucking cool. And then, yeah, number 6 is Retribution, just like Joel. It's a largely skippable film. It felt like they listened too much to fans and just leaned way too heavy into fan service over making a film, which is not a mistake any of the other in the franchise make. They have all these video game characters shoved in there for some reason. They don't really make sense. And the plot is largely forgettable. And because of that, it makes me forget cool moments in the movie, like the Jill fight, like the chain fight in that hallway. I just feel like the movie can't hold up with its good moments, and it just kind of, it's a lackluster thing. Still great moments in it, but I'm never going to reach to watch it. That's me. Matt, what about you?
So for me, number 1, Apocalypse. You know, it has a motorbike being driven up a ramp through into the church. You know, immediately that just wins hands down. It's mental. It's so insane, and I just love it. I had the most fun watching that one than all of them in the whole series. I just think Jill Valentine is absolutely ridiculous. Her outfit, her introduction is just insane. Like, walking into the police station, just shooting a lot of people in the head. It's just fucking mental. You've got, you know, Carlos, his introduction of jumping out of a helicopter, shooting 2 guns, somehow managing to hit things. It's
in the head.
In the head, yeah. It's just mental. It's just utterly insane. And then you've got that end sort of basically Street Fighter fight between Alice and Nemesis as well. It's mental. And of course, Alice running against gravity,
Yeah, of course. And let's be honest, more Mortal Kombat than Street Fighter. A lot of blood.
Yeah, that's true. For me, like anything when I think of those kind of 2D fighting games, I automatically go to Street Fighter, because Street Fighter 2 is what I used to play as a kid the most. So that's my first reference always. But you're right.
So at some point we need to have a Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat episode, is what you're saying. We'll bring Joel on for that one for sure. That's far more in his wheelhouse.
Oh yeah, let's go watch the Jean-Claude Van Damme Street Fighter film.
No, I'm just talking about the game franchise. Which game franchise is better?
Yeah. Okay.
There's one that
I've
definitely
got my
has
answer.
more games.
Yeah, what's the Mortal Kombat?
But we all know Mortal Kombat's the right answer, right, Joel? Right, Joel?
Are you trying to start a fight?
No, because we agree.
Fight!
That was just too easy. Matt, did I totally stomp on the end of yours? Did you finish out what you were saying?
I finished out what I was saying about Apocalypse, yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So, number 2 is Extinction. Like you said before as well, it's the best shot of the 3. It's the best paced of the 3. And again, for me, it's the slight lack of the craziness that the reason why it doesn't take that top spot. It's not as fun to watch. It gets a bit dour at times and a bit sort of moody, and it's not what I really want from these films as much. That they're mental. That it's absolute insanity, and a bit more insanity in the third one. It would have been at the top for me. But, yeah, it's still a very, very good film. It's Mad Max with zombies, basically. That's how I would describe it. Number 3 is Afterlife, actually. And I kind of think that when I wrote this list, I may have been slightly drunk. I don't know why. I was thinking about, why is that so high? And I think it comes down to that opening sequence. And
it's a great sequence.
The opening sequence of that is just, again, it's back to the sort of like the craziness. It's just an absolutely insane action sequence. And then you've got, like, later on, you've got the incredible fight scene towards the end. You've got that hilarious "I'm a producer" thing. It's just, I think, I think it's the characters.
That poor producer.
Yeah. I think what it is. I think the reason I put that Afterlife so high, it's the characters. I think that's what it is, because I really enjoyed those characters a bit more. Like, I liked the introduction of blanking on his name now, but the guy with the watches. I thought he was a really, really decent character. Luther, that was it. Yeah, I just enjoyed him in there. I thought there was some really cool sequences. It's kind of nice to see Claire back a little bit. Yeah, and I don't know. I honestly don't know why it's so high.
The one reason why I could see it, and I thinking more about it, I appreciate it more, is that it probably out of all these, it feels like the most purest, like, survival zombie film. So many of these are crazy action, over the top, ridiculous stuff, or just like trying to be very, like you said, serious in some tones. But this is one where it feels, like you said, it's the human stories between the whole group once they all get trapped on the top of that building, and the different archetypes that work well together.
And I think that it just had a really nice production design element to it as well. Like, I love the interior of that prison with the torches throughout the thing. I think it's a really, really well sort of like designed film, I guess. But yeah, that's probably why it's so high on my list. Then number 4 is the first film, and I sort of echoing like some of the things that have been said. Like, it doesn't feel like it fits with the rest of the films. It feels like it's trying to be more serious horror film in for the most part, but then in some areas it is like, let's be a bit crazy here, where it's kind of like it's not really picked a side. Is it horror or is it crazy action? And it's kind of like it's a bit messy in the tone, and as much as I joke about in Captain Exposition, the character is literally just there to tell you what's going on. The characters are not so much rich, but they're just not as interesting. They are all very much, that is your place in the film. You are done now. You are going to die. It's very, yeah. And then the villain reveal thing, like all of a sudden he gets his memories back, and all of a sudden he's just immediately evil. Like nothing that's happened means a damn. Yeah, it's just, yeah. But it does have some really cool moments in as well. For me, number 5 is the final chapter. I think throughout it's a pretty enjoyable film, but there's just a few things that I just cannot forgive. Like the whole thing of the entire film is based on this ticking clock of you've got to release the antidote by this point because the human race is going to be wiped out. The remaining camps are going to be overrun by this time. She does it with like a few seconds to spare, but then you find out, well, no, it's got to get round the world. So humanity's dead then, right? They've all been overrun.
They're all still fucked. Got it.
Everyone's dead. And it's just that for me. It's kind of an unforgivable thing. If they'd have had a line in there saying you have to release it, by this point because it's got to have this amount of time to get round, and if we don't do it by this point, it won't get round in time for like the camps to be overrun. I'd have accepted it a bit more. But you are saying that the camps will be overrun by this point, and then it's still got to take time to get around the world. It's a niggly thing, I know, but it just irritated the hell out of me.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just able to, I think, forget it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Same.
And then for me, number 6 is Retribution. Like, I was incredibly positive about it on the podcast, but you are correct completely. You can take this one out, and your storyline doesn't miss anything. It is such a it's a filler. It's literally just a filler. Like, we joke about it being a bottle episode. It's a filler episode in a series. It's like, oh, we've got to get to 22 episodes. Oh, let's just put a filler one in there. Let's just have some wacky stuff going on here that's not pertinent to the main story, really. And there's some really cool moments in it, but it is essentially pointless, really, to the overall story of the films that it's the storyline that the films are telling. It doesn't add anything to it. It doesn't take anything away. It just, it's just a thing that you could go through. You could watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and you wouldn't really be missing much.
Yeah, the thorn in my side of this one is still the girl. They shoehorn her in so much and give her so much weight. And I can see the story conceit of like, okay, this child is not truly my child, but because of my main brain and the way it's jacked up, I feel sentimentality to her, and it's important for me to save her. And they focus so much on it, and then just throw it away. Like and that happens so many times. But you can tell that somebody thought like this is going to provide the weight and importance that all these actions are, and then to not have any reference, any thought about it afterward is just insane.
Well, it's like it's going back to the comparison to the Alien franchise. It's kind of like what they did with Newt in Aliens, but they did in Alien 3. I think they did that all way better though, because she doesn't just disappear. But you have that, you have an actual dramatic element of that where Ripley's convinced that Newt had an alien in her, and she has to do an autopsy, and it's this horrific scene. Whereas this one, it's just the girl's just gone, with no reference, no mention, no nothing. And it's kind of
the jump from 5 to 6 is rough. Like there's some story threads that would have been nice to at least pay lip service to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, like you have this whole setup of like, Wesker's on their side, and we're going to save the world, and you resolve it with like one throwaway line of, "Oh, Wesker betrayed us again." It's like, well, fucking course he did.
Yeah, we decided not to go the same route. So Wesker betrayed you. The girl doesn't exist, and go.
Yeah. I mean, Wesker really is just a cartoon character, so it made sense.
Totally.
I mean, he may as well be winking to the camera every time he speaks. I'm on your side now.
Well, maybe he is, and you just can't. Maybe he is. Yeah, right.
I forgot about the sunglasses. How did I forget about the sunglasses? He wears sunglasses in an underground bunker. A very dimly lit underground bunker.
So that's it, guys. We did it.
Good job, everyone.
Good job. We covered the entire Resident Evil franchise. We even had a finale episode, which for a minute there did not feel like it was going to happen. So I'm very glad that it did.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of sad, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like,
Yeah.
as I tend to do as a good farewell, because it's always a bummer to say goodbye to these franchises. As I'm finding out as we do this every time, I thought I'd have one more kind of farewell question that I did not prepare you guys for. What was your favorite movie to discuss? Not your favorite movie, but like you look back on the podcast and the good times we just had. Which one was your favorite? Like that was just a fun one to talk about. Might not be the best movie, but it's just like that's a good one to chat about with friends.
I think the first one.
Yeah.
Like the first one is such an interesting, eclectic thing that it was easy to talk about and discuss, like the strange contrast, the fact that all the characters besides Alice are cannon fodder, which like obviously that becomes a theme for the entire series. But like as an introduction, it was an interesting thing. I compared it after we got through 2. I compared it between Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 in terms of tone and style and things. And I think that's not fair to Terminator 1 because Resident Evil is absolutely not as cohesive as Terminator 1. But it's still an interesting thing to discuss.
Yeah. Mine would probably be part 2. I agree with everything you said about part 1, but when I look back on our episode from part 2, like 2 is just such a bananas movie that when you start chatting about it with your friends, you find out like what things you grabbed onto and what they grabbed onto, and it's not always the same thing. But as you start talking about it, it just kind of amps you up. Like, so say for example, I'm like, I love the stained glass window thing. That was ridiculous. And then you'll have your buddy who'll be like, I liked the fucking the graveyard sequence. Like, why are these zombies awake now? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why the hell would they even do this? And then you're like, that is ridiculous. And then Nemesis shows up, and that's even more ridiculous. And it's just like, it's one of those conversations that when you get amped up with your buddies, it really helps fuel that conversation. Like, I don't think I've laughed as hard while recording a podcast since Venture Brothers days as I did when we recorded the episode in part 2. Like, that was just such a fun one to talk about.
You're right.
Yeah, honestly, I was sort of thinking through them. I was kind of thinking, yeah, the first one was really good fun. Afterlife was actually quite good fun to record as well. But honestly, this Apocalypse, I think Apocalypse stands in my top 5 podcast recordings of just how much fun I had recording it. Because I don't think I've laughed that much in a podcast recording for quite a while. It was such a fun episode to record. It was such a fun thing to discuss. And, you know, just laughing about the ludicrousness with everyone. And, you know, I think that we had an entire discussion about how impractical Jill Valentine's costume was that went on for like 10 minutes. And God knows how much that actually ended up in the podcast, but it was just so much fun to just talk about. The whole thing, I just had so much fun recording that one. It was just like, if I could go back, it would be great. You know, it's one of the things where it's a bit disappointing that Graham's not here as well, because it was one of the other ones that we had all 4 of us on as well. And it was just having all 4 of us like to talk about that one. I'm glad we had everyone there for that one as well, because I think that is probably the most fun one to talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't believe nobody mentioned the paper dress as a favorite Alice moment.
Which one though? Because it's happened about 5 times.
Yeah, it happens a few
Well,
times.
that's just it. You have plenty of options.
all five favorite moments. Paper dress from 1, paper dress from 2.
There you go.
God, such missed opportunities. I think it's a perfect opportunity to say farewell to the Resident Evil franchise. I think we've done it. I think that's it. Time to say goodbye. But, you know, all fond farewells always leave the door open to something else. And we do have another show coming up, and I'm very excited to get started with it. I just don't know when that's going to be. So just a moment of clarification from us over at Binge Buddies before we get started. Our next show is going to be What We Do in the Shadows. We'll start with the movie from Taika Waititi, and then we'll do the show that's been on FX for the last 2 years. Season 3 might be coming out soon-ish. If it is, we'll fold it into the show, and if not, then maybe we'll come back to it at some point later, but at least we'll do the first 2 seasons. Personally, I won't go into crazy detail. I got to take a whole month off of podcasting for things that I have to do in my life. So none of that will come out in the month of May. I'm guessing that we'll probably start up with What We Do in the Shadows, or the tentatively titled Who, What, Where, and Why We Do in the Shadows, in the beginning of June. That is my plan, so be sure to stick around to our feed. I will be uploading old episodes of Frisky Dingo and Venture Brothers, and I'll probably throw in, now that we've talked about it, maybe the second episode of this particular show, throughout the month of April and whatnot, throughout the rest of the month of April and May. So you still have stuff to listen to, especially if you missed those old shows, but the new content is going to wait till about June. So I'm sorry for the very big break, like almost 6 weeks. But unfortunately, with the way my life is going right now, there's just no way to do podcast and everything else I have to do in the month of May. So May is coming off for me of virtually every show I record. So it's going to be a big break. But then Who, What, Where, and Why We Do in the Shadows. I'm not sure the cast is going to be on that one. Joel has an open invitation. It all depends on his availability. Same with Graham. Matt is the only other person I know crazy enough to make this amount of time podcasting, so I'm sure he'll be on with me.
Oh, I definitely
But everybody
will
else
be.
we're going to kind of figure out.
The month off is a mercy for me, so I'm going to plan on it.
Okay, cool.
To be honest,
That's a good
the
break
month
moment
off
for me.
that we've chose fits in really well for me because I am almost 100% positive that I'll be moving into my new house at that point, and I'll need some time to get internet in. So by June, I should probably have internet in my new house, so it should be easy for me to record rather than having to go to someone's house and be like, can I use your internet for a couple of hours?
Like it was meant to be. And then, you know what, even during some point in these next 6 weeks, we'll throw one of Joel's shows out there. I'm not sure which one. I'll let him decide. It can either be GG Radio or it can be, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the one that you do with Kelly.
Afterthoughts.
Afterthoughts, thank you. Either one of those, or fuck it, we have 6 weeks. Maybe one of each. Who knows?
Sweet.
But we'll definitely keep some content out there to keep the channel alive, because 6 weeks is a big break, and I don't want you to forget about us. Should we move into plugs?
Yeah.
Pluggity plug plugs? So obviously I don't have a lot to plug right now. Keep listening to Behind the Hype. We are in the midst of Zack Snyder month, and we're doing, it's called Director's Cut, Zack Snyder's month. We're only talking about his director's cuts when available. We are doing the Owls of Ga'Hoole, where there is no director's cut, but the rest of them will all be the director's cuts. So far we've recorded Dawn of the Dead, and then tonight we're going to record Sucker Punch, and then we're going to do Owls of Ga'Hoole. And then Matt is going to join us for BVS, the Ultimate Edition, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I am so excited. This has been a really fun journey of finding out like his strengths and weaknesses, and basically just how the internet is being a big old fucking dick, and we can't figure out why. Like, his movies do not deserve
This fucking week,
the hate
someone
they
on
get.
my Facebook referred to Zack Snyder as a cancer to this DC films. I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Look, fandoms are cancer. That's what we learned here.
Yep.
Except for Binge Buddies. You guys are all great.
Yeah, you guys are great.
We're the kind of cancer that you want to get because it's the one that fights off the other cancers.
Yeah, there you go. It's good cancer. But yeah, so we're gonna we're gonna dive into why Zack Snyder gets that response, and not to be rude, but why people are fucking wrong about that response. And it's so far it's been very interesting. And this week's episode, or maybe last week's episode, depending on when this one comes out, on Sucker Punch, we really dive into that of, wow, people read this one wrong. Not saying it's a great movie, but the interpretation on it was dead wrong. And we're going to get into that. So be sure to check that out. Joel, what about you? What you plugging?
So, as we mentioned before, I am part of a group called Super GG Radio. We have a podcast. We have a YouTube channel. Just this past week, we released an interview Kelly and I did with a few professors at Sacred Heart University about their new minor in esports program. It's an interesting conversation. I'd encourage anybody to go see it or listen to it. Yeah, listen to it. As mentioned before, I am also doing a podcast called Afterthoughts with my wife Kelly. It's been a book club so far. In a few hours here, I'm actually going to release a episode of the last part of 1984, which was a really interesting book for Kelly to be introduced to. And next book will be The Secret, which we will be discussing later this week and posting an episode about.
Sorry, every time I hear someone refer to the book as The Secret, I just automatically hear fucking, oh my god, why am I blanking on his name? It's my favourite goddamn character in Venture Brothers. The Monarch. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Why did
Jesus.
I kept saying Blue Morpho. I was like, no, not Blue Morpho. But
You
That's
know,
still what I've got
the
to say.
monarch.
I haven't even watched much of that show, but I know who the
I
monarch
know
is.
that's so bad. But it's the monarch where they move into Phantom Lim's house, and he's going through his stuff, and he's like, "Oh, he read the secret. Oh, I got the secret. It's garbage. Shh, secret."
But yeah, other than that, I'm in the works of some pretty big stuff that we're going to be rolling out in the next month or so. Just keep your eyes on our social media.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Matt, do you have any articles you want to plug?
Actually, I wrote something recently. I got past by a friend of mine. I got past like a preview of a graphic novel that one of her friends had worked on. She did like editing on it or something. And it's called Boom Bandits, and she asked me like to write an honest review of it and everything like that. And I read it and really fucking enjoyed it. It's a real sort of throwback to that to the 2000 AD comics, like especially the older ones, because it's all black and white as well, and it's very much that same style. So yeah, go read my review, or just go and buy the comic. To be honest, it's a really, really good thing, and it sets up such an interesting world. And I really hope that they do continue it as a series, but as a one shot, it's really good as well. But it's such an interesting world that it plays in. But yeah, so that's my review of that's on the site, and it's available to buy on Amazon. And there's also you can in my article there's a link to a website where you can preview the first 5 pages as well.
Awesome. I need to check that out. Sounds
it's really good.
I read your review on it. I have not read the book yet, but it sounds awesome. I'll have to check it out.
I really enjoyed it.
All right, guys. I think it's time to say goodbye. I think we did it. As much as I'd love to sit here and still chat, we got nothing else to talk about. So I guess we have to say goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
I was trying to do a dog, but that didn't work.
Oh, there you go.
Later.